Welcome to another episode of Dad Up, everyone. Thank you guys very much for joining me. This individual and I have just recently got connected, and I'm excited for her to talk about what she's got going on. It will help you in your home life, in your family, and I think it's going to be beneficial. And I'm really excited to dive in. But my good friend Jessica Merchant has joined me on Dad Up. Welcome to the show, Jessica.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining me. And, before we dive into the book and all that, I want to talk for my listeners who may not know who you are. Let's dive into a little bit of back history about you. I know you're an author and all that, but let's dive into a little bit of back history. And then you're obviously, this is a parenting podcast, a dad podcast, but a parenting podcast. So let's talk about your family as well.
Yeah, for sure. So I am the founder of the food blog How Sweet Eats, and I've been blogging since 2009. So what feels like a million years. I
Right.
started it before, Facebook, Instagram, all that good social media stuff. So I started it before I had kids. I was married, and I'd like to say that it's almost sort of like a coming of age writing with my followers and readers because I've been doing it now for so long, almost 17 years.
Right.
And in that time, I've had three kids. I have a 10-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And this is my fourth book. My fourth book is called Easy Every Day. It's coming out here in April. And yeah, it's just kind of an extension of what I started on the blog. And I originally wanted to start a lifestyle blog, but they really didn't exist in 2009.
Mhm.
Because influencers were, if you were an influencer, you really were still working a regular job. It really wasn't anyone's, 9 to 5 yet. There
Right.
were a handful. So, I mean, I wanted a lifestyle blog, but my husband and I worked like a 9 to 5 job. So I didn't have much to write about. So I ended up writing about what I would make for dinner or what we'd cook on the weekends or just what we would do. And so it always has had a lifestyle family aspect. I talk about our week in the life each week. So I do share multiple recipes every week, but I also talk about everything I'm loving, my favorite things that I love that month regarding family, kids, home, all of that stuff. So
And
it's
so,
just
so
kind
you're
of
still
gone
doing
from there.
this. You're still doing the
Oh
blog.
yeah. Oh yeah. I'm still doing
Okay.
it. And my blog is still my biggest platform. So I mean, I
Okay.
am everywhere else. I have an Instagram, I have, Facebook. I'm minimally on TikTok, but I
I
still share on my website, every day or almost every day.
Okay. Yeah, I think I deleted TikTok
I know.
once all the stuff started going on and like I think
I know. I
I
feel a
I
little too old for it, but
I didn't have a huge following on TikTok. I think I may had maybe 10 or 12,000 something like that, but
yeah.
I literally erased the app. I deleted the app. I'm like
Yeah.
I don't need it. I
Freedom.
don't need it anymore. I just use Instagram and Facebook is really my main two. But well, cool. I mean, 2009, that's a long time. It feels like it's been a million years. I've had my podcast for 5.5 years and it feels like it's been a
Yeah.
million years. But from
It's so
2009,
much changes so quickly that it feels like a lifetime.
yeah. And back then, you're right. Well, honestly, today, if you're trying to become an influencer, you still have a regular job.
Oh,
Uh,
right.
bec- because
Very
yeah,
true.
there's like, there's influencers like there's Starbucks, you know what I mean? So
Right.
everybody's an influencer, but the fact that you're still doing it is cool. I commend you for that because there's not a lot of people that, stick with it. And same with
Yeah.
podcasters, I mean, I have a lot of podcast buddies and stuff, and people that have done podcasting and then gotten out of it, they're like, how are you still doing that? I send out
Right.
a show every single week, been doing it for 5.5 years. And it's like, how are you still doing it? And you know what? I don't do it for the money. I do make money from it, but
Right.
I don't do it for the money. I do it because I
Same.
enjoy it. I do it because I meet a ton of people. I do it just
Yeah.
because it's something I'm passionate about. Parenting is what I'm passionate about. So like
Right.
you being, doing the blog and kind of sharing your everyday life and the things that you go through and around households and family and all that kind of stuff is what you're passionate about. And so,
Yeah. And it allows me to have such a flexible schedule too with my kids. So it's been wonderful, and that I feel like that's the best part. It
yeah,
allows me to still work and have something of my own that I'm doing, but I create my own schedule. I'm completely flexible and so I can be there for them. That's the
right,
best part.
right. And do your kids get involved with the blog?
A little bit. I mean, I do share like every week I do a week in the life, but it's minimal. It's just kind of like what we did. I never wanted my content to be fully about them because I don't know. How would that be as they get older, you know? But I blogged for so long before becoming a parent. So it was very new to me. I mean, I still look back at some of my old posts when I first had my son 10 years ago, and I'm like, oh my gosh, such a first time parent.
Right.
So
You're like,
I like
what
looking,
was I thinking when I
yes,
wrote
I'm like,
that?
I can't believe that I put that on the internet.
Right.
But I leave that all there because I have been pretty vulnerable with my following, which is why I think I've had a loyal readership for so long. Again, they've grown up with me. Like I was in my 20s when I started, and a lot of them were in their 20s or even like their late teen years when they started, finding food blogs and cooking for themselves
Right.
or just finding something to read. And they've grown with me. And so we've kind of created this little community, and that's been really fun.
And I mean, you've got a pretty good following. I mean, like close to 2 million, I think, is what all
Over,
over all your
yeah,
platforms. Yeah.
overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think I've just been so consistent with it. I have never, again, I love it. So
Hmm.
I've never wanted to take a break. I've never dropped off. I will say, I mean, it's been really hard as whatever, something new comes out every few years. And as some sort of content creator, it's hard to skip out. You can't really drop something.
Hmm.
So I do feel, some things have gone by the wayside as I've had to prioritize and have kids. But when the next new thing comes out, when there was no video content, there were like people were still taking photos of food back then with like people didn't even have iPhones,
Right. Right.
with
Right.
like point and shoot cameras or, you know, little cameras. So it's hard to keep up because you kind of have to do everything to make sure that your content, stands out and is appealing to people. So that's the tricky part. But
So
I
do you
feel like
have
I've
like,
done a pretty
so like in your kitchen when you're taking like pictures or videos, you've got like 15 different cameras at different angles?
No, I know. I do not do that.
Okay.
So
Because I
I
have seen
will
people
say,
like that. They got like lights set
no,
up, they got like five different camera angles
no,
going at the same time.
no, I can't do that. I just feel like I'm pretty efficient at my work, but photography is my least favorite part. I
Okay.
could outsource it, but at this point, I've done it for so long and my website is pretty personal. My following is pretty personal. And I don't know, sometimes I change things at the last minute. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to share that today. I'm going to share this other thing. And I feel like when I start outsourcing that kind of content, it's hard for me to make those quick changes on the fly. I've tried before and
Hmm.
I don't love it. So, this works really well for me where I'm at the stage of my life, being flexible, being with my kids, being able to, do whatever I want with them. And maybe once they're more all in school full time or as they get out of the house, which I can't even think about,
Right.
things will change.
Yeah, my boys are my wife and I have two boys and they're 26 and 23 and
Yeah.
they are one of them still lives at home but he's like saving money, just got out of college this last year and he's working full time but he works remote. I mean, how in the world do people
Oh my
work
gosh, I
remote?
know.
Works remote and so he's home all day but he's just saving money. He's getting ready to propose to his girlfriend, longtime girlfriend,
Yeah.
and later this year. And so he's trying to save money for that. And they want to move out, obviously. And my older son lives in Arizona, and he has a job in his own place and all that kind of stuff. But it's crazy. So I mean, buckle up, Jessica, because those times are going to
I
come.
know.
You have young ones still, and they're
Goes
gonna.
so fast though.
I tell my friends that all the time. I'm like, hang on, because I mean, goodness, my niece, gosh, it's kind of a little sidebar. My niece just had her second child just this last month, and I mean, her oldest is 3 or 4 now, and she just had her second one, and it just seems like it goes by so fast.
Yeah,
Super
I
crazy
know. And
how fast it
everyone
goes.
tells you that, but until you really experience it, it's like,
Yep.
what?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have the book. I'm going to show it. It's called Easy Every Day. I mean, awesome. I was looking through these I mean, just the color. I mean, we're talking about photography and all this kind of stuff. Just the
Thank you.
color behind the pictures and stuff. I mean, crispy potato tacos. Are you kidding me right now? Like, let's go. Let's go.
Woo!
But there's everything in here from breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, drinks, desserts. There's a ton of desserts in here. Um, the book is awesome. Look at the back. It's awesome.
Thank you.
It's really awesome. So what was the philosophy? I mean, what was the inspiration? Have you always liked cooking? Has that always kind of been your passion? What was the,
It
behind?
definitely wasn't always my passion. I'm very like mom taught, grandma taught, my family cooked dinner every night. I'm one of three. It seemed like my mom made it seem effortless. Little did I know. It's
Right.
like not effortless, but there was just dinner every night. Now that was the 90s. She had a lot of her favorites that we rotated through, and that was we loved it, but there wasn't a
Hmm.
lot of variety.
Hmm.
And we would have like a pasta night, we would have a taco night, and she always had dinner made. And like maybe one day a week, or even every 2 weeks, we would get pizza. We didn't even go out to eat that much as a
Right.
young family. So I was always very inspired by that. But really, it was her kitchen. We were busy with activities. I would help my grandmother bake when I was younger, but I didn't really get into cooking until I was married. We were living, in our own house and just coming up with what to make for dinner tonight. And the way that I started was I really took those like classics that my mom would make and kind of put a modern twist on them, you know? So that's really still how I approach cooking, even for my family. I feel like I have a pretty relatable palate, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And, I think that I can just take a little twist on something, which I don't think people understand how easy that is. Sometimes you just need to change one little thing and it really like elevates the meal, but also makes it different so
Hmm.
you're not as bored. It gives you some variety, it makes things a little more exciting. And that's kind of how I got into cooking. So the way that this exact book came about was my third book was called Everyday Dinners, and it released during the pandemic, but it was only dinner. And that was the first book I've ever done like that. I've never been like a strictly, I'm only sharing dinner recipes. I've always shared all kinds of recipes, breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, and everything. But I think at that time in my life, I was like, oh my gosh, I have this young family. I didn't even have my third child yet. And I was like, how the heck do you get dinner on the table? Like,
Right.
how on earth, without, it being stressful? I don't want to like make the afternoon or the evening a stressful moment. I don't want to seem like stressed out with my kids running around. So I just feel like there's also a fine line between doing, some meal prep or doing some preparation for the meal or a little bit of cooking and planning. So that book was my most successful book. And I took those same concepts and put them into easy every day, but did all sorts of recipes.
Okay.
So,
Well,
breakfast, lunch, dinner.
I want to cut you off right there because I think it's very interesting what you just said just a second ago about how we have these busy lives, right? I
Yeah,
mean, and it seems like as the years progress and these, new generations come up, that our lives just get even busier. I talk to people
totally.
now that have younger kids and I see the stress on their face about all the stuff that they
Hmm.
have going on, not just at work, but after work and then in the evening
Right.
time. And I think back, yeah, that was my life too. My wife and I did the same stuff. And now I think, but you have it so much easier because there's things like DoorDash.
Right.
You
Oh,
know,
I totally agree.
when my boys were
Yeah.
younger, that wasn't around. I mean, you have those kind of things, Instacart, where people just, bring your groceries to your house. I mean, that kind of stuff, it
And there's
wasn't.
like healthier options for dinner too.
Right,
Like I
right.
feel like if we were going to get takeout when I was a kid, it was like pizza, Chinese,
Uh-huh.
like, Mexican,
Exactly.
like it was like more of a heavier takeout.
Exactly. So that's the thing. It's like now it is so easy for people to go, and this is why I'm asking you this because it kind of leads into my question, but it is so easy for people to go, you know what? I'm exhausted. We're not cooking. We had too much going on today. We're just going to order DoorDash. And then the argument starts, well, where do we order from? I don't want this. I don't want that. Well, what about this? No, I don't want that. So then you spend 20 minutes
Right.
trying to figure out what place to eat at or what place to order from. But with easy every day for the busy family that's coming home in the evening time, maybe they boys just had practice or the kids just had practice, they're coming home. this is why you created this book, was for these
Hmm.
easy, simple recipes that don't take an hour and a half to
Right.
prep and then another hour to cook or whatever. These are like real simple.
Yeah.
The pictures do, I'll admit, the pictures do look complicated, right? You're looking at these pictures and you're like, that looks like a complicated meal. But no, the point behind her book is it's these meals that can be created within, within 30 minutes and be
Right.
good. So can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I've totally felt that same way. And I
Hmm.
think I think that I thought, oh, it'll be easier when my kids are a little bit older because, in those evening hours when they're younger, they're running around and they're crazy and they're tired. Well, no, as they get older, they're into activities. And when you have more than one kid, they're into different activities and they're on the same night if they're different times. So that's definitely a key, for me. And I think it's really important to just have a little bit of a planning. I do not love to plan meals ahead of time. I will be like very upfront about that. I just want to make dinner tonight with what I want to feel like eating tonight, or what my kids feel like eating tonight. But I learned once my kids got a little bit older and things got busier for us, that's just not an option. It makes my life chaotic and hectic.
Hmm.
So I usually pick like three or four, even just three meals that I know I can plan for the week that we're all going to love. I always try to keep them to under 30 minutes. And in this book, I have something that I call my 10-minute meal prep strategy. And it
Okay.
sounds like nothing. It sounds, once you read the info, you're kind of almost like, oh, yeah. But it's things that even I forget about. So let's say, we're going to do like a buffalo chicken salad on a Tuesday night. I'm going to prepare what I can that only takes me like 10 minutes ahead of time. So I might make a vinaigrette. I might chop some of the vegetables. I'm going to do things that, again, keep the food like fresh. It won't ruin the quality of the food, but it's going to help me and it's only going to take 10 minutes. I did the whole meal prep on Sundays in my 20s and maybe even in my
Right.
30s.
Right.
I spent hours cooking. My husband spent hours cooking and lining up the containers and putting, our
Hmm.
meals in there. And I just find that for us, that just doesn't work. I don't want to eat that way. I would get bored with it. Like instantly, if I see like six containers here of that meal, I'm like, well, I don't want that. I want something else, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So that's why I think that little bit of preparation allows for flexibility in the schedule. I'm never going to plan 5 or 6 meals. I think it's unrealistic that you're going to sit down and eat, 6 meals that you have planned ahead during the week. Something's going to come
Hmm.
up, you're going to have activities. Maybe you want to get pizza, you want to get takeout. So I try to keep it to 3 or 4, and that allows a lot of flexibility in there. Maybe it allows for some leftovers for lunch or dinner. And it's just really nice because it takes so much of the pressure off. And in all of my recipes in Easy Every Day, I have those 10-minute meal prep tips. So, what can you do for this? Maybe we're going to make like I have this chicken tortellini soup that my kids and my husband just love. I know we're getting out of soup season, but it's a really nice one that you can even have in the summer. It is just so satisfying, but at the same time, it's kind of light. It has a lot of protein in it, so you feel good when you eat it. It has kale or spinach. I figure, what can the day before or 2 days ahead of time, figure out what can I chop ahead of time that I can just dump and go. So we're having this meal that really is going to come together in 30 minutes. And it's not just, putting frozen chicken nuggets on a tray and putting them in the oven. Which
Right.
sometimes I do that too. There's definitely nothing wrong with that, but it just makes it so we're having nourishing meals. And I feel like the more we do that at home, then I don't worry about what they're eating somewhere else. If my parents want to give them candy and cookies or,
Right.
I know that at home they're getting, nourishing, like well-balanced meals. Everyone's happier. And again, it's just having that quality time around the table. I feel like it doesn't happen that much anymore. And
Hmm.
that was like a non-negotiable for us growing up. I mean, sometimes if my dad worked late, we wouldn't even eat dinner till 8:45 or 9 o'clock because my mom would wait and we would all sit around the table and we would just laugh hysterically. Like my
Right.
brothers would just have us in stitches. And of course, it wasn't every night. And, again, depends on the kids' activities. But I find that doing that really brings that like family table aspect back. And
Mhm.
no one's as stressed because you're prepped for the meal when it didn't take that long. And it's just really nice.
Yeah, I think the everyday like I mean I grew up the same way. My mom always made dinner. My dad or my dad would usually was the person that was barbecuing, but my mom was the
Yeah,
one that was cooking inside the kitchen, and it seemed like that was every day. We hardly ever went out. I mean I
right,
don't remember going out to get fast food or to a restaurant. It was always just food at home that they made. And it got kind of old, it was hectic. There was no, I don't know. We didn't spend a whole lot of time around the dinner table. It was more around the TV screen. But yeah,
yeah,
I mean, for my kids, my family, when I think back, especially when they were growing up, it was my wife. We would cook dinner probably like what you're saying, a couple times a week, but there were a few times a week that we were ordering from a restaurant. There wasn't DoorDash back then, so we'd go pick it up or whatever.
right,
Yeah, and I mean, even today, like weekends, unless I'm in a barbecue, weekends, we don't cook. That's just
right,
not
right.
like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we just don't cook. That's just not, we just don't. We get something from a restaurant or we go out somewhere, or I barbecue. I mean, that's usually how it works.
Yeah,
So my wife is the same way though. She doesn't want to spend every single night cooking dinner,
right.
so she does
And especially cleaning up.
right. Yeah.
There's a
So
cleaning
she
up
does
aspect too. It's
it's
like,
it's usually 3 nights a week, maybe 4 nights a week. There's something that she's made, and sometimes it's a lot of the time. A lot of the times, my younger son doesn't like it so much, but it's the crock pot stuff, where she can throw stuff in the crock
yeah,
pot that she can let cook all day, and then when she comes home, we can just kind of make it up. But
yep,
that's cool.
totally.
If you had to pick something out of here for somebody to make if they were to go get this book, what's like one of your favorite recipes out of here?
Okay, so I will say me especially, but we're very seasonal eaters. And like in Pennsylvania right now, for instance, this is a really hard time because I feel like in spring we don't have a great amount of produce. Like winter squashes are on their way out. The good summer stuff isn't here yet. So we are very seasonal eaters. But some things that I do make all the time. I mentioned that fire roasted tomato chicken tortellini soup. That's amazing. I make this smash burger salad with caramelized onion vinaigrette. It is so good. It's like a burger bowl. You make a little smash burger in the pan, kind of tear it up, and the vinaigrette is so good. I think it's a caramelized shallot vinaigrette. That's incredible. Um, I make these like whipped protein pancakes that use cottage cheese that you whip up in the blender. So if you're
Huh.
not a cottage cheese person, if you don't like the flavor, they're so good. They're so fluffy. They're so satisfying. They're really good. And again, they come together pretty quick. You can make a batch of them, stick them in the fridge or freezer. And then, for things like lunches, I just love make ahead like grain bowls, salads, orzo salads. Um, things like that, things with maybe chickpeas or beans or chicken, things that like won't get, when I say salad, I don't mean lettuce salad. I mean like brains, beans, things
Mhm.
that'll hold up in the fridge for a few days, but at the same time are super satisfying. So you're not losing your mind at like 3 p.m., you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, no, you're like, I'm getting hungry now, and
Yeah.
I'm looking at some of these pictures. I'm just like, okay. Um, Now, a lot of these recipes in here, I mean, we talk about them being easy. We talk about them especially and this is why I wanted to have Jessica on because, I know families out there have busy lives. They got stuff going on with the kids and they want something that they can do that's simple enough. Um, I find that there are companies out there, and I won't name them, but there are companies out there that you can order from that will deliver recipes to you, and
Yeah, yeah.
they send you all the ingredients and stuff like that. And I've tried that process. We've actually tried that, and I tried it once because it didn't work. It was like I got these recipes, and once I started looking at them, I'm like, this is just so complicated. There's 15 different things here that I have to figure out. Like, and they give you the little recipe,
A
the
lot of things to
instructions.
chop and
Yeah, and I'm like, this is like overcomplicated. I think the last time that we tried it, I think I threw half the ingredients out. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck I'm doing. And that leads to my question. That's why I mentioned that because it leads to my question. Why in this book, where you talk about some of these, these recipes, were these things that you came up with? Because they look really simple. I'm looking at
Yeah.
sticky
I develop
barbecue
all
meatballs.
my own recipes.
Okay. Sticky barbecue meatballs with herb smashed potatoes. Okay, that looks freaking fire. 10-minute
Those
meal
are
prep.
really good. That is
I'm
one of my
telling you, it
husband's
says
favorites.
10-minute meal prep. And yeah. Okay, so you've created all these. It's not like something that
Yeah,
okay, cool.
right. I
And then
create all my recipes.
all right. And then I love that you talk about it, that you just throw a little twist on something. Like, I mean, I'm going to simplify it, but like going from instead of steak tacos, chicken tacos. I mean, just a little
Absolutely.
changing one ingredient can really change the whole meal.
Right.
And so the stuff that you do in here, I mean, even those meatballs that we were just talking about, you could change those up with anything, right? You could,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Totally.
That's
And that's, I think, why the variation is really important to me. There's a chapter at the beginning. It's called the sauces and dressings chapter.
I saw
And
it.
it's basically it's kind of like my fridge essentials. And it seems kind of ridiculous because it's a whole chapter of like just really salad dressings and sauces and things you can dip in. But I find that if I make just one or two of those at the beginning of the week, they'll last for 3 or 5 days in the fridge, a vinaigrette, maybe even six. They can change and elevate a meal so much. They can
Hmm.
change a meal that you have leftovers with. They just, make it taste different, make it seem more exciting. Maybe my kids will eat this because they'll dip it in a homemade ranch. And
Right.
again, it doesn't take very long. Now, if you're not somebody that loves to cook, I do always say that, the only way to get better at cooking is to do it.
Right.
That's really the only way. You just have to do it. But if you do enjoy cooking and if you're used to it, a lot of these things can even be done, the sauces and dressings, in like 5 or 10 minutes.
Hmm.
They are so quick and you just keep them in your fridge and they can be a game changer.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, simple things I think about when you're talking about just sauces and stuff. You go from, you can bake barbecue chicken in the oven, right? Or
Yep.
like my wife has done, she's changed instead of barbecue, you do a teriyaki sauce, or you do even a vinaigrette sauce. Where you barbecue, I
Yep.
mean, you bake a chicken with vinaigrette sauce. You can do those things. Just change or kind of elevate the meal and switch it up a little
Yeah,
bit.
and
So.
keep it exciting and
Mhm.
don't make you get as bored.
Yeah, absolutely. Now the book comes out in April,
Yes, April
and
15th.
okay, so for this is what it looks like again, easy every day. I'll make sure that we have the links and all that when it does hit. But for my listeners or viewers that want to look you up and learn a little bit more about you, or maybe check out some of the other books that you've written, where's the best places for them to do that?
Yes, my website is howsweeteats.com. It is How Sweet Eats on Instagram and Facebook as well. All my books are linked there. I do have 4 cookbooks, and you can find them anywhere books are sold.
And what about your blog?
Yes, my blog is howsweeteats.com. That's
Okay.
where it is. And I share 3 or 4 new recipes every week, brand new recipes, along with a bunch of lifestyle content, favorite things, things we're watching, reading, loving, stuff like that.
Awesome. Now what's the next venture? What's the next thing on your
Oh my
list that
gosh.
you probably have a
I,
billion, or you want to
I,
take a break?
no, yeah, yeah. I really don't know. I just feel like get through this book launch and then we'll see. I don't know if I'll do another one. I'm always iffy right after the book launches. I'm like, I don't know, I might need a break, but we'll see.
All right. All right. Cool. Well, Jessica, listen, thank you very much for sharing the book and sharing your background. I
Thank
appreciate what you
you.
do. I mean, this is going to be so helpful for families that, want something that they can do that's quick and easy. They can do as a family, and it makes it simple for us. And that's
Thank
what I
you
look
so much.
for the episode is things that improve our lives as a family. And
Right.
so that's certainly is one of the things that this does. So. Thank you very much for being on the show. I appreciate you being on. It was certainly a pleasure to meet you, and I'm looking forward to continuing our friendship
Yeah.
and
Thank
learning more
you.
about you as time goes on.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Listen, guys, it's been another episode of Dad Up. I want to thank again my good friend Jessica Merchant for being on the show. Make sure you guys go pick up the book when it comes out in April, Easy Every Day. Go to her website. You can check out the other books that she's written. You can check out her blog, all those things. All those are in the show notes. The links are there. So make sure you go there and make sure you follow her as well. And if you are not yet subscribed to my show, please make sure you do that so you don't miss any of the awesome guests that I have on each and every week. And as always, I look forward to seeing you all in the next episode of Dad Up. Wow, another amazing episode in the books. So much was shared, and I'm truly grateful my guest was able to pour into you to help you elevate your dad game and really dad up. Make sure you bang that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're here, please don't forget to leave me a rating and a review. I always appreciate the feedback. And one last thing, don't forget, your role as a dad is one of the most important roles you have. So if you need a little help or have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me on my website at daduptribe.com or at my Instagram page at Dad Up Podcast. Until next time, everyone, Dad Up.